And we take you to Ottawa now, where Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland is speaking.
Minister of the Economy, and I expect to speak again later this week, indeed probably today, with both Ambassador Lighthizer and Minister Guajardo. Happy to answer your questions.
In terms of that conversation, have you brought something concrete back for a decision here around what happens next in NAFTA? I mean, where's it all going?
I was in touch, so let me say, in addition to being closely in touch with both my Mexican and U.S. counterparts, really pretty much constantly over the past several weeks. I am in very close touch with my cabinet colleagues and indeed with the Prime Minister, with whom I also spoke yesterday. At this point, I think it's fair to say that the NAFTA negotiations are continuing. We are very intensely engaged. And I would like to really assure Canadians that, Canada has rolled up its sleeves. We think a win-win-win outcome, rolled up its sleeves, even those of us not wearing sleeves at the moment. We think a win-win-win outcome is absolutely possible for all three countries. Having said that, what Canada is looking for is a good deal, not just any deal. And we will work at it as long as it takes to get a good deal for Canadians.
What is the probability of tariffs being put on steel and aluminum? I continue to think that I never want to answer hypothetical questions, but I'm very happy to answer any question on 232. I want to emphasize Canada's position, which is with Section 232 and the administration with its national security. And we find it quite honestly, this is absurd to think that Canada could be a security threat, a national threat to the United States. We are very, very close friends. Secondly, for Canada, the considerations in Section 232 of NAFTA are two issues that are completely different issues. And third, I want to assure all Canadians, especially those working in the steel and aluminum industries, that Canada is absolutely ready to defend our industry and our workers.
Tariffs being imposed on aluminum and steel. What assurances can you give those workers that either Canada will continue to be exempt or that the defense will include further tariffs that we will impose on them? I mean, did you talk to Ambassador Lighthizer about the tariffs?
Well, you guys know I used to be a journalist and an editor, so if I may, I would like to just edit the question a little bit. We are a day and a half away from a decision by the U.S. And I certainly did discuss the issue with Ambassador Lighthizer. He is the U.S. Cabinet Secretary who's responsible for that negotiation with Canada and Mexico. So I absolutely discussed it actually several times yesterday. And what I said to Ambassador Lighthizer is what I say to Canadians, which is Canada considers it frankly absurd that we would in any way be considered to be a national security threat to the United States. We are probably the closest ally of the United States. We are partners in NATO. We are partners in NORAD. Canada, by U.S. law, is part of the U.S. defense industrial base. And Section 232, I think it's worth reminding people, is a national security consideration. I think it is also worth reminding our American partners, as we do at every opportunity, that when it comes to steel and steel products, the U.S. has a surplus in trade with Canada. And finally, I would like to absolutely assure Canadians, particularly those who work in the steel and aluminum industries, that the government is absolutely prepared to and will defend Canadian industries and Canadian jobs. We will respond. We will respond appropriately. We'll respond appropriately.
What does that look like?
As I said, we'll respond appropriately.
Has Canada...
Où en sont vos efforts pour obtenir une enquête indépendante sur le sort canadien à Gaza, en Palestine?
On the investigation in Gaza and Palestine, we continue to work with our international partners. As you know very well, many of our international partners have raised the same question, and we are in talks with them on this issue.
Merci.
Thank you.
I'll answer one question from Josh, then I have to go. Sir.
Oh, is there? Yeah. Sorry, Mike. Yeah. Is there?
We used to work together. We used to work together.
It doesn't seem like there's any hope of getting a deal that can pass this Congress, one in the next week or so. Is there any hope of getting one?
You know, Josh, I do have many responsibilities and many things I need to worry about. The U.S. legislative process is not one of my responsibilities. It's the job of the United States to manage its own legislative process. And in terms of where we are in the deal, let me just repeat that we are working very, very hard. The engagement at the moment is very intense. We expect to continue to work hard. Having said that, you know, we are going to, it's going to take, this negotiation will take as long as it takes to get a good deal. Thank you very much.
Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland talking about NAFTA, not saying much other than the talks with Washington and Mexico are continuing. She was also asked about the tariffs that could be imposed on Canadian aluminum and steel in a day and a half. She says Canada's working hard to defend the industries and that the government will respond, quote, appropriately if such tariffs are imposed.
Have been advocating very energetically for Mr. Diab's return to Canada. I am delighted that he is back in Canada with his family, with his community. And I think that it is very important for there to be an external review of why he was sent from Canada in the first place. And let me point out, it was the previous Harper government which made those decisions. Thank you very much.